Our thoughts and prayers go out to each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be starting tonight's event. Again, for those that might not know me, my name is Sean Kupferberg. I will be hosting tonight's event along with a few of my colleagues that will be joining us as well. We've put this webinar together to have each and every one of you understand the journey that it is that we're going to be moving forward. So again, without further ado, I think I've said that about 3 or 4 times now. I will be starting tonight's webinar.
Okay. Ini my Wi-Fi design on. Okay, awesome.
All right, guys, just before we get started with the slideshow that we've put together, I will ask each and every one of you to please put your mics on mute. Any particular questions or queries that you might have, you may have your consultant on WhatsApp or via email. Please can you either WhatsApp them or email them any particular questions or queries, preferably on WhatsApp, and they should be able to get back to you within a short period of time, or at least by tomorrow morning, so you've got a clear understanding moving forward. So once again, welcome to New World Immigration's 24th of May webinar. Some exciting information, exciting news that's happening internationally. More importantly, focusing on the 2 countries that we predominantly focus on, which Australia's borders have reopened, and Canada's selection rounds. Very, very exciting news. We've been waiting for 2 years. Canada's selection rounds will be taking place from July of this year, which gives us just shy of a month and a half as to when that will take place. So tonight's journey, we'll be covering a couple of different topics in and around New World immigration, the key aspects of what keeps New World immigration intact, when breaking it apart, what services, what key features and benefits, as well as what external factors do we bring in, such as our recruitment division, our relocations department, to aid and assist each and every one of you throughout this journey of your immigration process to either Canada or Australia. So we'll be starting off with Australian invites that are coming through, the Canadian skilled migration process that's resuming their draws, from our registrations all the way through to recruitment, the client portal, very what's fantastic software that we've put together for families. Occupations in demand. We will be touching on a few of the occupations. We won't be able to touch on absolutely every one of them. It is quite difficult to touch on every single occupation that's in demand in both Canada and Australia. So if you do not see your profession on there and you have been quoted, there's definitely a reason why your profession is on the list. It's just that we've only got so much space available on the slideshow. The importance of phase 1, as well as what next steps you would take when getting the ball rolling. So just a sneak peek of New World Immigration and our head office. This is a picture of our front foyer, our case department following through on the left-hand side of your screen. Our address, our head office is in Cape Town. So if you find yourselves in the area during the course of the week, please pop in. We make a mean cup of coffee. Robbie's invested some good money in making sure that we stay wide awake throughout the course of the day. It's rather important that we keep ourselves as focused as possible. But yeah, it's an incredible workspace. We've spent a lot of funding, a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of focus on making sure that we've built an environment around us, not only to keep us focused, but to keep us as enthusiastic as possible, keep us lively, keep us content, as well as forward thinking. What else is available? What else can we be doing? What more could we be doing? What further values can we be bringing to the table? So if you happen to come across anything that you feel as if New World Immigration could provide, please put that forward to your consultants. We would always have an open ear. Our reputation, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 10 years in business, we've assisted 8,500 families to immigrate successfully, since we opened. And it's been an incredible, humbling experience for each and every one of us at New World Immigration. And with that being said, we've got over 800 reviews with an average of 4.5 out of 5. And with bringing a family on board, is extremely important for each and every one of us to share our experience, especially in the immigration field. We are very open to the idea, good or bad, whichever experience you've had with your consultant or with New World Immigration in general, please feel free, go and leave an online review. Have us understand the experience you've gone through. Have fellow colleagues or individuals that are looking at this process review your experience. And again, it's been a humbling experience for us knowing that we've got a 4.5 out of 5 rating to date from your 3 major sites, which include Facebook, Hello Peter, as well as Google. A very important aspect, as well as a conversation that each and every one of you would either need to get into or understand, but when dealing with an immigration firm, you would need to make sure that they've got the correct accreditations as well as registrations in place. So those of you that are immigrating to Australia, Sandra Karim is our Australian registered migration agent. You'd be able to view her full registration details on our website, as well as if you take a look at your consultant's email, on their signature, you'll actually see accreditations. By clicking on either Canada, Australia, you'd be able to see the view registration aspects of our consultants. And that's the same for Canada. Shelley Fall, actually is a former senior case officer for the Australian High Commission in Victoria. She now heads up our relocations department at New World Immigration, which I'll touch on in a short while. So to get straight into one of the major topics of discussion internationally for a lot of families that are looking to immigrate, more specifically to Australia. Of course, we'll be touching on Canada shortly. But a major topic of discussion is that most of your first world countries have been closed or predominantly closed over the last 2 years. What is happening? What's going on? When can I expect to start this process? It's been a fantastic journey since the beginning of the year, where we have been approving families more and more as the weeks and months go by to get to this point where we're receiving approximately anywhere between 7 and 10 approvals on a daily basis for Australia alone. And those numbers are just increasing daily. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is that Australia is not qualifying people fast enough to tend to the amount of opportunity that is being created locally. So domestic universities throughout Canada are not qualifying people quick enough. And this is where foreign skilled professionals come in. So Australia is looking to fill their immigration requirements to bring in close to 500,000 skilled migrants by the end of 2024. If you consider that number, there's approximately 350,000 South African families that now reside in Australia. So that number is absolutely massive. A lot of these required quotas will actually be coming from South Africa, which is great to know. Another major point of focus is that states across Australia will be reopening from the 1st of July. What does this mean? States, once they start opening, each and every one of the states across Australia has received a specific cap of how many professions they're looking to bring in within the shortest time frame possible. Basically, they've got a quota. They've got a ceiling of how many professionals, how many diesel motor mechanics, how many petrol motor mechanics, how many chemical engineers, etc., that each and every one of these states have a quota. And the moment they have reached their quota, these states will close, right? It's based on a supply and demand aspect. So states will stay open until they've received their quota and close, possibly reopen again once there is a so-called boom in the market. All these states, ladies and gentlemen, require a preliminary step that you would need to go through, also known as a skills assessment. Many of you may have come across this term or heard of this term being thrown around quite a bit. But the skills assessment is a requirement that a state of New South Wales all the way through to Australian Capital Territory will require in order for you to apply directly to them. Before I move on, you also want to make sure that you are applying to states, or at least completing your skills assessment as soon as possible, so you're able to apply to more attractive states, or at least the most attractive states. A lot of your South African families happen to be looking at states like New South Wales, Western Australia, Victoria, as well as Queensland. The reason why a lot of these states are so attractive is that their food, their culture, their climate, as well as general scenery is very similar to South Africa. I've got a lot of clients that are based in Western Australia where they often hear Afrikaans as much as what they hear English, either on the trams or whether they're just walking through the streets or in the malls, as well as restaurants. Believe it or not, they've got ingeë kerks throughout Australia. They're very much accommodating to the Afrikaans community, which is a growing community within Australia. So those of you that are worried about losing your Australian heritage, your Afrikaans heritage, I can assure you that with how Australia is built from an immigration standpoint, is that it's very much accommodating to the South African families as well as Afrikaans families, just to put it out there. So those families that are considering Canada, as well as what I mentioned with regards to Australia, they will be reopening and starting their selection rounds, which is amazing news from the 1st of July. What has happened over the last, call it 2 years, is that there's been candidates that have completed their initial steps, their qualification assessments, and now there's this general pool of individuals waiting for selection rounds to start taking place. So Minister Sean Fraser on April of this year, he had mentioned that selection rounds will start taking place in early July. And if you take a look at the scores, when you look at families between 491 to 460, or at least within this area, all right, that comes to less than the quota amount that they're looking to fill by the end of next year. What that means is that they still do not have enough numbers within that bracket area to fill their quota. And this is extremely good news for those that are looking at Canada as an option. They're nowhere near meeting their requirements, and they're looking, or at least expecting, to reach a quota of 1 million skilled migrants by the end of 2024. Why this is so important in terms of starting the Canadian Skilled Program now is that we have the month of, well, a couple of days of May as well as June to finalize as much as you possibly can. You want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve. You'd like to make sure that you front in row, take advantage of tie-breaking rules, as well as expose yourself to provincial draws. the quicker you get your qualification assessment done, as well as your English language tests, you're putting yourself in the best position possible, as well as a dominant position, knowing that your profile is fresh within the application process and you're ready for the selection rounds to start taking place from beginning July. So if it is Canada that you're looking at, these are the exact reasons why it is ideal for you to get the ball rolling with these skill assessments as soon as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic piece of software that we've been working on since the beginning of our days. Our client portal has been designed and developed to help a family understand how to go through the various aspects of the immigration process. No one really wants to deal with admin. I mean, let's be honest with one another. You know, each and every one of us have fast-paced careers. You get home, most of your children, that's another career on its own. And to now still function 100% on your immigration aspect, paperwork, relocation services, recruitment services and whatnot, how can you possibly get everything done, at least within a decent time frame? So we've designed this portal to help with these areas. Once you've logged onto your portal, you'll have a full tracking process to understand where you are at any given point in time. So whether you just started the process or whether you've been assigned to a case manager or when you're in the final stages of your visa process, you're constantly in a position to understand where you are and what we are dealing with. You will constantly have an understanding as well as direct contact with all four of the individuals that are assigned to your profile. You'll have a number of tabs on the left-hand side of your portal running from profile all the way to pay scale. I will be touching on a number of these points after the slideshow. But if you have not got onto the portal as of yet, I would recommend logging on after this presentation. A sneak peek of one of the areas where we collect your documentation would be My Visa Documents. This is one of the main areas of the portal, probably one of the most important areas of the portal, because this is where we retrieve documents such as passport photos, qualification certificates, your CV, your resume, pay slips, etc., etc. And what you're able to do as the main applicant, and you will have your dependents profiles next to yours, all available on one portal. So you as a main applicant can monitor absolutely everyone's profile from one space. Once you've logged onto the portal and you receive the full checklist of documentation requirements, as you will see in front of you there, you'd be able to click on an example for passport photo. It will allow you to download a template as well as an example. So you've got a full understanding of what it is that will require to the country that you're going to, as they'll differ between the countries. And you'd be able to upload that document to the portal, or at least to the respective tab. In this case, passport by photo. Once you have uploaded that document or the photograph, your case manager will receive instant notification of that upload. We'll then be able to review it as a team, notify you that it is 100%, we're satisfied with that, and that area or that document's tab will actually turn from orange to green. And we would then move from each document as we go throughout the process, ticking off every document as we go. The Relocations Division has been a very popular and by demand for a lot of our families that have started this process with us, as well as families that are in Australia or Canada. The Relocations Division has been, like I said, a very popular concept that a lot of families wanted as well as needed exposure to. So families needed assistance with areas such as financial migration. So understanding how to get your financials in order to immigrate, or to financially immigrate at least. Taking a look at property, taking a look at flights and accommodation, settlement services, pet relocation services, to name a few. Shelley Fowle, who now heads up our relocations department, is continuously signing up new and more partners to assist. For example, we've recently signed up with a South African family that have lived in Canada for, I think, just over 15 years. And they set up a company to actually wait at the airport for you and your family to land. They would house you in a property or in one of their properties. They'd be able to take you to various banks to access your funding, to get a cell phone as well as SIM cards sorted out, and to take you to various parts of point of interests to understand the medical schemes, understand schooling, understand housing like realtors and whatnot. So it'll never be a point of you landing in either Canada or Australia and you're there with your bags packed. Well, you know, where do we go from here? There's complete support and understanding from beginning to end by the time you actually get there. So Shelley Fowle, and you'll have access to Shelley Fowle and her services the moment we've brought you on board. So you'll have full access to it to understand exactly, you know, from a property perspective all the way to pet relocation services, how this will be sorted out. We're going to be touching on a few other topics, occupations in demand across both Canada as well as Australia. But what we'll do, for an example, is that when we bring you on board and throughout the process, we are constantly on the sort of understanding of where your profession is in high demand exactly within the country that you're going to. So for an example, if you're a secondary school teacher that's looking to immigrate to Australia, we'd be able to understand all the various visa types that you'd qualify for before we even bring you on board, as well as which states have your profession in high demand. The demand for states happens to change every now and again, so we would need to monitor this quite quickly and quite regularly. So we'll be able to tell you if at any given point where your profession is in high demand, what are the requirements, what visas you'd be able to apply for. So if any amendments would happen during the process, we would be able to pivot to an accurate pathway rather than pivoting towards something that actually isn't available, if that makes sense. So a brief on average salaries within Canada as well as Australia versus South Africa. We are touching on a number of different areas. As I mentioned earlier on, we won't be able to touch on absolutely every single occupation out there, but I brought on a construction project manager who works in Cape Town. He's been a construction project manager for a little over 12 years now. And I always thought that construction project managers earn a really good salary in South Africa. And I was quite dumbfounded to see that that's actually not the case a lot of the times. But if you take a look at the average salary of a construction project manager, for example, in Canada or Australia, you're looking at that amount of just over 1.4 million Rand per annum, right? If you take a look at the average plumber, plumbers don't unfortunately earn very attractive salaries within South Africa. But if you take a look at the average plumber looking in Australia or immigrating to Australia, they earn close to 800,000 Rand per annum. If you look at secondary school teachers, a very popular profession that we bring on board for Australia as well as Canada, a very sought after occupation salary-wise in Australia as well as Canada. So this is a graph that we've just put together just to give each and every one of you a sneak peek of an understanding of what a potential person would be earning in South Africa, and then comparing that to the average person in Canada or Australia. The recruitment division. Luke happens to run and project manage our recruitment division. Luke, I believe you are joining us this evening. Are you alive and awake? Have you got your mic ready and set there by any chance?
Yes, I am, guys. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Luke, for joining us. Luke, just a brief introduction. Luke has joined New World Immigration to head up our recruitment division. He's taken this particular department on as a massive project, which has been incredible because we've started joining and signing up new partnerships in both Canada and Australia to better expose the clientele that we have on board with us. So without further ado, Luke, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Shawnee. Okay, guys. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but of course, it's always exciting times. As we know, as Sean has mentioned, Australia's borders are open, as well as Canada's. So exciting times. Guys, I mean, when we talk about professions, there are so many professions in the skilled worker shortage list, starting from nurses to engineers, chemical, industrial, teachers, in Canada, the IT specialists. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And what we do at New World, sorry guys, at New World Immigration and Recruitment, we help to facilitate our own clients. So anybody that comes on board with us looking to immigrate or to find some visa work, we're going to be there to help you guys facilitate a job, find a job for you, no matter what the profession is. But of course, it would help if it fell under these skilled worker shortages acts. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, you just need to go onto the website. I think we're gonna put something up there shortly for everybody to go look at. Nurses are at the top, 100%. We're looking for plumbers. We're looking for metal fabricators, diesel mechanics. So these things are all very important. If you do fall under these shortages, or if you know anybody, please let them contact us. Because what we found was when we were facilitating our own clients, once we placed them, we found that the employers abroad in Australia and Canada asked us, do you have 20 or 30 or 40 more of these professions, for instance, plumbers and so on. So it's been a very exciting time for us, especially with the borders being open. And we're just finding it that we can't handle the volume from what the employers are asking us to bring across. So yeah, so we're very excited. Please, this recruitment division is in its embryonic stage, but you know, we are going full tilt at it, and we are extremely excited that that it's another part of the immigration solution. And we look forward to anybody that is looking to immigrate to either Australia or to Canada, that we would facilitate that whole solution from you know, doing a free assessment, finding out if you qualify for the points for each one of those countries. You know, we do your visa, we do pretty much everything for you. We can even find you housing, get your children into school, and then of course now with the recruitment division we can find you work abroad. So it's a 360 solution that we can offer you guys, and yeah, we extremely excited. I mean, these are new times. The world is changing rapidly. So yeah, please, Shawnee, thank you so much. I appreciate speaking to all of you, and really, please just give us a call, and we'll try and help you any way that we possibly can. We're here to change lives. As you know, our motto, So yeah, let's get this going, and I hope everyone I wish everyone a good night, and hope to hear from you soon. Shawnee?
Appreciate it, Luke. Thank you so much. Sorry if I caught you off guard there, but thank you so much. Guys, that's
Cool.
Luke. He happens to put in a lot of hours, a lot of effort into this particular department, and it's a growing department on a daily basis. And just to give you a sneak peek of what it is that you'll have access to when we embark on this process, is that employers as well as recruiters have access to this portal in both Canada and Australia. Employees or individuals that are looking for work have access to this portal. So you'd be able to actually type in the occupation that you're trying to find, as well as the country that you're looking at, and it'll give you a full breakdown of opportunities that we have signed and found in Canada or Australia, and you're actually able to directly apply for those positions via the portal. If we go back to the previous page, is that employers or recruiters are actually able to go onto this portal as well, type in the occupation, and it'll give them all the candidates that fit the criteria of whom they're looking for. So what that now has done, which is a platform that actually a service that a platform I've never come across, but both employer and employee have access to the same space, which allows them to meet each other halfway. It expedites the process for both parties to find synergy among one another. We both know, as in myself and each and every one of you, getting into the job market is not easy, especially in the international job market. If we can try and ease this particular process as much as possible, which is what Luke and New World Immigration as a whole is looking to do, then that'll be it. New World Immigration is not solely an recruitment division, guys. We're not here to actively promote and guarantee employment opportunities. At the end of the day, Canada and Australia are employing you. They're not employing us. It requires commitment from your side. It requires work from your side. But at the end of the day, we're able to provide the necessary resources, tools, and expertise to help you navigate the international recruitment space. Ladies and gentlemen, a major topic of discussion as well, which is the IELTS test, or the English language test. The IELTS test is a very popular mandatory aspect to the immigration process. This is that both these countries would need to make sure that you're English proficient, or you're able to communicate in English. New World Immigration has taken a further step to introduce complimentary IELTS tutoring for the main applicants. Megan actually is a client of ours that's immigrating to Canada, but she became a registered and an approved IELTS international tutor, and she'd be able to ensure that you receive adequate support as the main applicant when completing the IELTS test. So you'll be focusing on anywhere between 3 and 4 one-hour classes, which generally take place via Zoom or telephone. But basically what we'd like to cover before you complete that language test is that you're best prepared and have enough confidence in focusing on your reading, listening, writing, as well as speaking proficiencies. This is an exclusive offer to New World Immigration's clients that start the process with the skill assessment with us. So you'll have access to Megan the moment we get the ball rolling with your skill assessment. An important part of the process, I think the most important part of the process when embarking, or at least getting into the job market and starting the immigration process, is the skill assessment, ladies and gentlemen. The skill assessment is a major point of focus for myself as well as my colleagues in the industry. But what the skill assessment ultimately is that it's a route of action. The assessment outcome, or the skill assessment outcome, confirms that your qualifications are recognized and on par with Australian or Canadian standards. if you were each in one of these countries and I were to try and secure work through each and every one of you. So if we create a scenario and Izan or Dr. Sam or Pamela or Philip, anyone that is joining this evening, if each and every one of you happen to be recruiters and you're actively looking to bring in foreigners, if you are to consider me as an applicant, the quickest way to bring me in as an individual will to have your skill assessment. The reason why that's important, it shows that your qualifications are recognized and on par with your country standards. It's a requirement for permanent residency, and it shows commitment from your end. You've done the due diligence of actually starting and getting your qualifications recognized and on par with the country standards. Ladies and gentlemen, the next steps would be that I would highly recommend that you get in contact with your consultant at New World Immigration. As we mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, a lot of movement is going to be taking place over the next 2 months. It's highly advisable that your skill assessment is on the way. At least have that finalized as quick as possible. The sooner you have that, the sooner you're going to be able to put your family in a better position to apply to better states, to ensure that you're able to apply for job opportunities as quick as possible, and to make yourself more competitive within the job market. Book an onboarding slot with your consultants, Connie, myself, and David, if this is something that you're ready to get the ball rolling with. If you're not 100% certain about anything, I would recommend that you arrange for a final consultation with David or Connie or myself or any other of my colleagues to better understand your circumstance. You could not have looked at starting this process as a better time. For the facts and reasons that I've given you earlier on, I'd highly recommend starting with your skill assessments as soon as possible. I believe that there are 1 or 2 questions. Can one apply for a 189, 190? When we start this process, we'd be able to assist you with all 4 visas or all 3 visas at the same time. And whichever invite comes through first, we would naturally then apply for that visa. So we would submit an expression of interest under 189, 190, as well as the 491, all at the same time. And that way, we're best exposing you to what's available. Should you receive an invite under the 189 or 190 or 491, the ball is in then your court to then proceed with that option. Can I apply in South Africa while I have a visitor's visa? Unfortunately not. If you have been working in South Africa on a visitor visa, that won't work because the Canadian as well as the Australian government would want to see that you've been on a valid visa. If, however, you're simply just in South Africa on a visitor visa, but you have work experience in Namibia or Botswana or Mozambique or wherever, and you've had a valid status in that country whilst you've been working, yes, you can apply from South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any further questions or queries relating to the process, please make contact with your consultant via WhatsApp as soon as possible. I'll be waiting for a few final points from my colleague, my clients this evening, and we look forward to this journey and bringing you on board for this process. Have yourselves a wonderful evening and look after yourselves. We'll be in touch. Take care.